Good afternoon, and welcome everybody to the Judiciary Committee. Obviously, there are a number of people here. We also have a overflow room in 2A, and the Capitol Police have asked me to make sure everybody knows that they need to have a seat in this room. If you are not able to find a seat, then we would ask that you retire to room 2A, where there is a live feed of this public hearing, and there are many people already there. You won't be lonely, and you will hear everything that is going to be taking place before the committee today. I just want to, because the room is so full, I want to make sure that everybody knows, again, that the exit ways must remain clear, and there are obviously two exits at that end of the room. If there is an emergency for any reason, you are requested to calmly leave the hearing room through those two exits. Do not use these doors behind me. They are not fire exits. We have a number of people who have signed up for the public hearing. We have 4 officials from state agencies who are here to testify today, and normally the first hour of the public hearing is reserved for testimony from state agency heads or chief elected officials. I don't anticipate that taking place today. I don't think we'll need the entire hour. However, I do just want to mention that we have dozens and dozens of people who have signed up to testify today. We are going to stay here until everybody is heard, and if you have not yet signed up, we would ask that you do so by signing up by the door, and we will be certain to reach each and every person who wants to testify. In order for us to do that, however, we are going to remind everybody that there is a time limit of 3 minutes for testimony. Now, we normally in the Judiciary Committee try to give a little leeway, and you will hear a buzzer or as a bell, I guess, when your 3 minutes is up. I am going to give probably 10 to 15 seconds after that for you to conclude remarks if you're going past the 3 minutes. And I want to be certain that everybody knows, no matter which side of this issue you might be testifying, that is going to be very firm and unyielding. So I apologize in advance if it's abrupt, but we will not be able to hear everybody unless we adhere to those rules. So please tailor your testimony accordingly. Also, if you have heard somebody testify before that has adequately or sufficiently addressed your feelings, it might save some time if you just allude to that. I should also mention that we have, many of you have submitted testimony in advance of today's public hearing. It's not a requirement that you have written testimony, although it is helpful for members of the committee. And all of that testimony has already been scanned. It's actually online and is available to anybody now and in the future. I should also mention that this public hearing is being transmitted over the CT network, and so if you wish, you can go home and watch your testimony again, where you will be immortalized, I guess, at least in the realm of public access television. And I should mention that this is a very busy day here at the General Assembly. There are a number of hearings that are going on. The Finance, Revenue, and Bonding Committee, the Education Committee, a number of hearings are going on, and you will see members of the committee coming in and out. It's not because they're not interested in hearing testimony. It's oftentimes that they're trying to be in many places at one time. There are also, I should just let you know, live feeds into the offices of all legislators. It's not uncommon for legislators to listen to testimony while they're in their office doing other work, and you will see people coming in and out and lights going on and off. We will, and frankly, as I said, If you want your testimony to be part of the official record of the General Assembly, and you haven't yet submitted it, and wish to do so, we'd be happy to accept it later, but it is always preferred if it's in advance. Having said that, we will begin with the first person to testify from the state agency list, and it's Comptroller Nancy Wyman. Good afternoon, Madam Comptroller.
Good afternoon, Senator McDonald and distinguished members of the Judiciary Committee. For the record, I am State Controller Nancy Wyman, and I am here to testify in support of Raised Bill 7395, an act concerning marriage equality. I can sum up my support for this bill in one sentence. To violate the rights of a few is to violate the rights of all. And until Connecticut recognizes the marriage of same-sex couples, the rights and liberties promised in our federal and state constitutions are lessened for every one of us. We have all heard the facts about how those in a civil union, as opposed to a marriage, are denied access to more than 1,000 federal protections and never know if a right granted in one state might be prohibited in another. From how much in taxes they pay, to hospital visit privileges, to Social Security, to inheritance and child custody rights, failing to recognize the right of these couples to marry prohibits them from full participation in our society. Those are very important issues which merit passage of this bill on their own. But beyond the numbers and the tax implications, there is a family issue. There are thousands of children in Connecticut right now being raised by same-sex couples. Denying their parents equality denies equality from them as well, which is why I want to take a particular note of one section of this bill that reads, "The best interests of a child are promoted when the child is part of a loving, supportive, and stable family, whether the family is a nuclear, extended, split, blended, single parent, adopted, or foster family." I think that says it all. On a final note, I'm proud to say that my agency was a leader in offering same-sex domestic partner health benefits to state employees nearly 7 years ago. And what has been the result? Chaos? Thousands of couples streaming into our office being met by angry protesters? Hardly. What has happened is that a few hundred workers and their partners have quietly signed up for the plan and are now able to provide their families with a quality health insurance plan. Nothing more, nothing less. I believe passage of this bill will result in a similar reaction or non-reaction, as the Boston Globe noted in an editorial earlier this year regarding the enactment of same-sex marriages in Massachusetts. We are still waiting to hear of the first heterosexual couple whose marriage has been damaged, the editor writes, by the more than 8,500 same-sex marriages performed since 2004. I thank you for inviting me and allowing me to speak on this issue.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Comptroller, I know that you were testifying in Bill 7395, and I wanted to ask you actually a question about a related bill, and if you're not prepared to answer it, that's fine, but it's Senate Bill 1447, an act concerning family and medical leave for municipal employees. And
I apologize, Senator.
Well, that's all right. I'll tell you what it is,
okay.
what the issue is. The issue is that my understanding is that municipal employees do not have the right to municipal employees who are in civil unions do not have the same access to family and medical leave benefits as couples who are in heterosexual relationships. And I just wanted to know, does your office, at least with respect to state employees, track family and medical leave absences and payments?
No, we don't, but we can get that information for you, Senator.
Okay. because I think at least with respect to how it applies to municipal employees, the state's experience in the area is going to be helpful, at least to me, as we move forward with that legislation. So I'll work with your staff in trying to get that, but I do appreciate your testimony.
And we will get back to you as soon as possible.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the Comptroller? Representative Rowe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, Comptroller.
Good afternoon, Representative.
Your initial statement, I think, tended to boil this down to an issue of civil rights, or at least you spoke to the issue that this is an issue of civil rights, and denying civil rights to the few simply shouldn't be allowed to stand. If we do pass 7395 and we call it marriage, based upon a civil rights argument, do we not then really have no reason or no basis to prohibit polygamous marriages, marriage that that we may today say, well, that's not really an issue, but we would be denying the civil rights of 3 or 4 or 5, or pick the number, and based upon a civil rights argument?
If you have a strong feeling about that, Representative, I'd love to hear the argument on it. I'm here because I believe the same-sex couples, a one-to-one loving relationship is very, very important. And the fact that many of that, and I said thousands of children are being brought up by same-sex couples, that those children deserve the feeling of being included into the society just like my children were brought up.
Thank you. I think you may have, my point was, if we are to frame this in a civil rights context, then we lose the ability to deny marriage practically to anyone because of the civil rights issue.
And I think that could be discussed in this committee by lawyers. I am not a lawyer. I don't believe that that's the same type of issue by any means. I think that that has been outlawed, literally outlawed in many states. This has not been outlawed in our state. It has not been accepted in our state, and hopefully it will be.
Is there anything further? Representative O'Neill.
In your testimony, you quoted from a Boston editorial, and you highlighted something that I think comes up in this discussion. And I guess I'd ask you, do you suppose that when Henry Ford produced the first Model T, he envisioned global warming? In other words, that
you know, I know I'm older, sir, but I don't remember that, to be honest with you.
The concept here, though, is that once upon a time, the way we tested to see if a particular chemical or substance could be put on the market was we sprayed somebody with it, and if they didn't keel over dead within an hour or so, the assumption was it was harmless. We now know that over time, changes that we make to society, to our environment, certainly our physical environment, will gradually become apparent, but they're not instantaneously visible. So I guess I'm wondering, do you think that we know enough at this point to know for sure what the impact of same-sex marriage in Massachusetts is going to be?
With all due respect, Representative O'Neill, when we passed the civil unions, those were the same questions. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed in our society. My marriage hasn't changed any with my husband because there happens to be a civil union going on. My children's marriages haven't changed any because of it. The feeling that if you're worried about everything that might happen in the future, I don't see where this is going to harm anybody. In fact, I think this makes a more equitable place for all of us to live. So no, I don't see it the same way you do. I don't see it hurting each other, two people. What goes on in somebody's house is none of my business. And just as long as they're not hurting other people or breaking a law, I believe that people have the rights to do what they want, and we should make them all equal.
So, for example, when we passed laws making divorce much easier in the late 1960s, do you think that that had any impact that when we now look at the number of unmarried people, children out of wedlock, that the entire sort of disintegration that we've seen in many parts of our society, that none of the legal changes we made had any impact on that?
Representative ONeill, if you want to go back to the 60s, I'm not sure that that we have in detail the amount of unwanted pregnancies then. Everything was hidden. So when you try to track things now compared to the 60s, it's much different. And you know what, I look at my family, I look at a lot of my friends' families, and I don't think the same-sex marriage is going to change anything. I don't think that then back in the 60s, that I believe that there were same-sex couples back in the 60s, but I don't think that people came out to talk about it. And so it was hidden. I'm not sure that there are more same-sex couples now than there were back then. It's just now people are talking about it, and thank goodness they are coming out and living as much of a normal life.
So, because I think you're really evading my question, I'm sorry to say. Do you think that the changes we make in our laws regarding family have an impact beyond just the immediate?
I guess so, yeah. If you look at the Family Leave Act, it made good, it was helpful to the families because now people can take off and be with their loved ones or the sick ones. So those kinds of laws are good. We make, you know, and I say we because I was there doing the same thing. There are certain laws that we put in that are very, very good laws, I think. If you want to go one by one and how it affects you, and maybe it's not good, but the fact is, most of the laws that you put in are meant well and have carried out and really helped people. I believe that when I was sitting in there, in the legislature.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Is there anything further? If not, thank you very much. Oh, Representative Hurlburt.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And thank you, Madam Comptroller, for coming here
Nice to see you,
today.
Representative.
As we usually trade votes during
Right. Yes,
the
thank goodness
election
he's my
season.
representative.
And thank you for being being a strong proponent of this today. I think your testimony was very clear about the reasons why the state of Connecticut should move forward. And so I also have to run to testify, but I wanted to thank you publicly. And I think the reasons that the Comptroller illustrated for us now are the reasons I think we'll be hearing over the course of the next many hours, if I'm not mistaken, about the steps that we can take to make Connecticut a great place for everybody to live. So thank you very much, Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you, Representative.
Is there anything further from members of the committee? If not, thank you very much for your
Thank you
testimony.
very much.
I also just want to thank members of the audience. One thing I didn't say is that we don't allow expressions of support or opposition to anybody's testimony. We are respectful of everybody's opinion, and I thank everybody for showing the respect to the Comptroller for her opinion, and we will maintain, hopefully, that decorum throughout this public hearing. The next person to speak is State Treasurer Denise Napier.